Welcome back to another episode of the Four Train Savages podcast, episode number 203. Tyler, the Yankees just finished up a series with the Baltimore Orioles at Camden Yards, dropped the series, two out of the three games, dropped both of them in, I guess you could say, weird fashion. It's we right before we started recording saying how less than ideal to do that to a last
Mhm.
place team and to
Yep.
lose a series. We know that Orioles have been off to a rough start, like the Toronto Blue Jays were, that they took care of business this past weekend. Last time we recorded, we didn't talk about it, but we'll hit on it a little bit. But we're going to talk more about this most recent series. But Yankees dropped the series, and the last game yesterday, both of the losses really felt like the Yankees could have come back and made something happen, but they weren't able to get it done. But it's April, or now it's May, but it was April,
Mhm.
and you look ahead to brighter days, and they're still in first place in the division, and they still have a lead, be it a couple games, but you can't lose your mind. But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the struggles and the rough areas for this team. But what did you make of this past week of games? We didn't talk about the Toronto
Mhm.
series too much, but what did you make of those two series, and what were your biggest takeaways?
Well, I will say, we got off the pod the other day, and one of my bigger things is like, hey, we need to get Belly, Jazz, and Volpe kind of moving in some forward progression here. And I do think that happened over the last 5 or 6 games or so. Obviously, Jazz dealing with, whatever, however they're calling this injury, oblique. What do they call it? Flank? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
right flank, but
Something
it's
like
part of the
that.
oblique.
Yeah, abdominal. What something in the core. Probably going to take a minute, is what I would guess. But takeaways were really that, man. Is like, I was happy to see Belly get a couple big hits. The homer, he had a double, I think. Volpe kind of nearing an 8 OPS at this point. Um, Jazz did a couple things before he got hurt. The whole offense did a lot in that game too, so it kind of helps butter it up a little bit. But that's what I'm looking at in takeaways there in terms of, what I was happy with. But then also takeaways is like, it seems like the Yanks, I don't know, I'm just get the vibe a little bit that you feel like should have won like four more games this year. And we should be like a 22-9 team or something. But we're not, which I can't really cry too hard. We're 18-13. I don't know if that's still tied for the best record in the AL, but it's first in the AL East, so you really can't be too upset about that. Um, but Yanks have areas to improve. I think we know it's a lot of it is the pitching, it seems like. Offense is really good, Rob. That's kind of where I'm at.
Tigers are at 19 and 12, but right behind them is the Yankees with 18 wins, and actually they're tied with Seattle now. Seattle has 18 wins as well, ahead in the West for the American League. But yeah, I agree with you. I think you made a good point, and we didn't talk about this because the Toronto series happened, and we didn't release a podcast then. But when you say the Yankees should have more wins, especially when you think about the couple games that Devin Williams had blown, or just these past two games where you felt like they could have made a run towards the end to really steal the game, or I guess steal the game, but there's opportunities for them to win these games. But beggars can't be choosers, and
Yep.
you can't get too in the weeds with it because the Yankees are first place in the AL. But
It's just like
and
even I look at the Guardian series, I'm like, damn, could have won another one of those too.
yeah.
Tampa, I don't know. It's all right though.
You drive yourself mad doing that
Yeah,
because that's
that's
that's why we
baseball,
love
brother.
that's why we love baseball.
Yeah.
Before we head into the rest of the pod, if this is your first time listening or watching, be sure to subscribe. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and follow us on our social channels. You can go head over there on Instagram, TikTok, as well as X. So before we should we start with let's start with what happened in the Toronto series. So the Yankees dropped the first game in a really annoying fashion. You were on point when saying you should go out and bury them this series. They were about to,
Yeah.
but then Devin Williams blows that game in just a really bad way. They had a 2-1 lead, and it was really ugly to watch.
I mean,
And
dude, it was bad. It was over before it was over.
you saw it just unraveling, and it was as if you were watching some sort of demise in a movie or something. It was really
Yeah.
tough to watch. And as it went on, you're saying he's gonna blow this game. Like it was just the sense that you got. And after doing so, more chatter around this bad performance following back when they were in the George Steinbrenner Field playing Tampa. He had a bad outing there. We know that there was one of the Pittsburgh games that he came in. He didn't get the loss. There was a ghost runner on second with the extra inning rules. So don't fully put that on him. But I had mentioned earlier that you feel like there were at least two games that the Yankees could have had. And
Yeah.
it's April, a lot of baseball left to be played. But the Yankees go ahead and they take him out of the closer role for now. And I
Mhm.
think a majority of the fan base is happy with this. And I would say I'm happy with this. But I would also like to say there's two things that I look at it, and I've alluded to it in the last podcast, that I do think Devin Williams can still be a good pitcher. I do think he is going to be a very important part of this team in 2025. And there's room for him to grow. But I also, on the other hand, think that he is not the right fit in the closer role right now. And I will also acknowledge that he may not be the right fit in the closer role all of 2025. But I don't think that it's for me, it's both sides of the coin there. That I think that he can be a very good pitcher. And I think that some Yankee fans are being a little dramatic with how bad that they think he is overall. If they find him in a better place and a better suited role, I think he could be a contributor. But I also think like Luke Weaver's been here, done that with in the Yankee environment, in Yankee Stadium, and there's something to be said for that. So Boone makes the switch, but he also says that it's not definite for all of 2025. So we
Mhm.
finally got that,
Yeah,
Tyler.
man. I mean, happy to see it. Like, I came on the other day or not the other day, whenever we chat about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, listen, man, I don't really give a shit who closes, right? It should just be the hot hand, if you will, or the guy you can trust most in these higher leverage situations. Devin, just simply put, has not been that guy thus far. He's got a negative .7 WAR. It's pretty nuts, actually.
Yeah.
This early in the season.
11 ERA in May or in April, which
Yeah,
is
it's
or for
nuts.
to start the year.
46 ERA plus. That would be 40 or 54% below league average, right? So then, I mean, just looking in the easier decision this decision's so easy for Boone to make too, because Luke Weaver's pitched 14 innings, hasn't given up a run. He's got a 0 ERA, right? So this was really not up for discussion necessarily. And I think coming off of that Blue Jays loss that they were up 2-1, Justin Boone's post-game press conference, it sounded like he wasn't going to be pitching the ninth for a good minute. Like usually Boone is always like, any questions about Glaber the last few years? Nah, he's our second baseman. Any questions about Clay? Nah, he's our closer. Any questions about Aaron Hicks in left field? He's our left fielder, right? And like instantly he was asked about this in the end of April, was like, hey, what's the deal with Devin? And he did not push back on it. He wasn't like adverse to the question at all. And he kind of was like, we're going to take a look at it,
Judge
which
was
to
a
me,
little more definitive with it, but
what
yeah,
was his comments? I don't even
Judge
remember
was
them.
saying he's our closer and we believe in him. That was a couple. That was after the Tampa stuff,
Yeah,
but
which I
that was
still think
Judge.
is
So
fair. Yeah, but when you
Boone's
come
always going
out,
to back up his guy, but he was a little more non-committal about it
yeah,
than he has been in the past. Yes.
as the captain, I feel like you have to be right. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not making that call.
Yeah.
But then after this outing against Toronto, you kind of just can't go out and pitch him again. Like he didn't. It's not like he just looks like shaky. He doesn't look like a MLB caliber pitcher like
Hmm.
at the moment while he's out there. Doesn't know where his fastball is going, and the changeup, the friggin' airbender has no play. So
No. He got
fix
in the
fix it up,
game.
man.
He got in the game last night and he looked good. And they were within, I think at that point they were down one or maybe two. And granted, they don't have a lead, but I think just now it has to be picking and choosing the correct spots that make sense for him that can still be in a competitive game, but not necessarily that high tense and pressure
Yep,
at this moment in time. Doesn't
high
mean that
leverage
he can't
moments.
get there, but the move had to be made. So and they
Breaking
made it
news
official.
to Yanks fans too. If we want to have a productive season and reach the inevitable goal of winning a World Series, Devin Williams has to be good. It's like that simple. So you guys should root for him. I
Yeah,
don't really, boo him when he's bad, sure, But some people like literally just hate Devin Williams. I'm like, if we want to have a really good season, he needs to be good. I'm
Yeah.
pissed at him too. I don't like the outings. Boo him. That's your right if you're in the stadium. But I need him to be good if we want to do some damage here. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Additional things that a little housekeeping action. We mentioned the Jazz Chisholm injury, right flank discomfort, basically in the oblique area.
MRI
That
today, I think.
Yeah, so we'll probably when we're recording in the morning, it'll be we have to wait exactly what he'll be doing or what the course of action is, but it sort of sounds like he's headed to the IL if I had to guess, but we'll
Oblique
we'll
is a
see.
while too, man.
So
Like 6, 8 weeks.
we're gonna have to we're gonna have to wait and hear on that. DJ LeMahieu was on his way back, but had to get a cortisone shot for some hip discomfort and a hip issue. So he's gonna be a little longer in the development. We had mentioned last podcast that we felt like DJ will be back sooner, and now it'll be later. But I do think that they're at if I was a gambling man, which sometimes
Well, we don't
occasionally
have
I
a
am.
second baseman now, so.
They don't have a second baseman now, but I had the vibe, and I still feel at some point it's only May. I do think DJ LeMahieu will be on this team playing in
Yes.
competitive games. It's just going to be longer now than
Mhm.
what we first anticipated,
Which is
but
fine.
which is not really surprising
Yeah.
knowing his history at this point.
I'm
And
starting to just feel a little bad. I mean, there's,
they
hard
were about
feelings
to
there,
cut the
but
dude. They were about to DFA him, but then the team didn't want him to. Like the
and
players didn't want him to.
yeah,
So
but he just keeps getting hurt, and clearly, like it's always been that side of him. I feel like now it's been like the hip, the hurt, the hernia he had. It's like the hip
yeah,
again. It's like your body's breaking down, brother.
yeah. I'd like to take a quick second because this was in the Blue Jays series, just to throw some flowers at Max Fried
Mhm.
because Max Fried has been unbelievable to start 2025 and start his Yankee campaign and his Yankee tenure. He has 5 wins, 0 losses on the year. For those that care about the pitching wins and losses, an ERA of 1.19,
Stupid.
37.37 and two-thirds innings pitched, and 33 strikeouts. Max Fried, in a year where they don't have Cole and they need a substitute ace, but we knew when they signed him that it was, hey, this guy has ace stuff. He has
Yeah.
been an ace in his career prior, and he is living up to it so far. And he's just been stellar, man. He has been really, really stellar. And it's so cool to see that, his first couple starts had uh, been a little questionable, like the first one against Milwaukee, but now he's on the right track and he's been amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, Max Fried is exactly what we have needed him to be thus far. An ace that is. And it's a different level of, or it's a different type of high caliber pitching that I feel like us as Yankees fans haven't seen in a little bit. Max Fried is clearly, to everyone that watches the games, he's not a strikeout guy, right? Which is what Garrett Cole is. He's like this super dominant pitcher that's going to blow you away with fastballs and disgusting sliders and shit like that. Fried is not that dude. He's a contact pitcher, and he's going to make you put the ball in play, and he's in some sense going to rely on his defense to get you out, right? While having a large repertoire of pitches. But even just looking at his Ks per nine, dude, right? He has 7.9 strikeouts per nine inning. In comparison, Will Warren has 9.8, Clark Schmidt has 9.2, Marcus Stroman has 6.8. So you're kind of on that level almost. And then Rodon, who's leading the AL and Ks this year, has 11.1. And typically where Cole would be in comparison to that is towards that 10, 11 mark that Rodon is at. So like Fried is really just a pitcher's pitcher, man, where he's not going to go out there and go blow 99 through right through the strike zone 100 times throughout the game and then have a nasty wipeout slider. He's going to pitch to you and he's going to make you kind of take what he gives you. So I've enjoyed watching Max Fried pitch, man. It's kind of like a little, I don't know, it gives me like Mark Burley vibes a little bit, where he's going to make you put the ball in play. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at you. And it's just cool. It's been a nice little mix up, if you will.
Hmm.
right? Where he's not like this stupid, overpowering ace, but he's not letting you put runs on the board, man. And that's really all that matters at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. So shout out to Max Fried, who's been just very solid to start the year, and in a time where they need him, and they need a substitute ace or an ace, and it's man, watching Max Fried pitch now just really makes you more frustrated that Garrett Cole is not in this rotation
Mm-hmm.
because man, and the way now
Without
too that Rodon is
Rodon,
pitching
yep.
too, and
Rodon's nasty.
that is the pitching staff that you were saying prior to the year when they were all healthy that this is the best pitching staff in
Mm-hmm.
baseball, and now the way that Fried's pitching and seeing Rodon, it's a little frustrating, but hopefully eventually get to 2026 and years
Get
down the road, you're
yeah.
seeing that because there's these guys with a lot of years on their contracts left, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it
At
is.
the end of
You
the
move
day,
on.
man, I still think a rotation of Fried, Rodon, Luis Heel, and Clark Schmidt is very
Oh,
good,
absolutely. I'm
right?
just
Like,
saying
yeah,
we
if
were
we had Cole,
robbed.
it'd be even crazier,
We were robbed.
you know?
All right, let's move on into this series that was more disappointing than the one prior against Toronto. So game one, Yankees dropped this one 4-3. Will Warren on the mound goes three and a third, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 Ks, 2 walks. Not a good start for Will Warren. Yarborough actually came in this and gave the Yankees really needed bullpen help to keep it around. Gave you 3 and 2/3, only 2 hits given up, 3 strikeouts and no earned runs. So kept him in the game. And then, as I mentioned, Devin Williams again getting some work, goes an inning pitched, and 1 strikeout. So there it is, fitting him in a little bit, giving
Yep.
him some spots and keeping him engaged in, but not necessarily in those
High
intense
stress
situations.
situations, yeah. 14 pitches, 9 strikes too. Like that's what I want to see. Pump the strike zone, dude. Need you to throw some strikes. And that's been Boone's like little MO this year is like, we gotta stop walking, guys. Gotta get ahead in the count. And I like that. I feel like we're getting a little more unhinged Booney in year 8.
Um, so in this one, the way that the Yankees score, well, the Orioles get on the board with a Laureano double to score in Jackson Holiday, and then O'Hearn with a 3-run home run to put him up 4-0. And then the Yankees in the top of the seventh with a fielder's choice from Judge makes it a 4-1 game, and then Volpe, and then the top of the eighth, they're able to get 2 doubles from one from Volpe, one from Wells to cut it to 4-3, but they were not able to then finish it out. And Bautista is able to get the save here, and they not able to hit him, and they lose this one 4-3. But it was just frustrating, and like the takeaway for me in this one was you really, Will Warren, they had hopes for him, but it's not exactly getting pieced together in the way that you'd want it.
It's very annoying.
It is, when you have him and listen, it's less than ideal, and we'll talk about the third game, but Carlos Carrasco, when you have Carrasco and Warren in this rotation, and I know we complain about Marcus Stroman too, who's now on the IL, but it's, you go into the game saying, oof, I don't know.
Want me to say something rude?
Go ahead.
He gives me Devi Garcia vibes now.
Yeah,
That's just
it's
where I'm
not
at,
far
man.
off. I mean, his last start that really stood out to you. He was good in Cleveland. They lost that
Yeah.
game. He had 5 innings pitched and 2 earned run ball. But then prior to that, it was really the San Francisco start where he went five innings pitched, 2 earned run ball as well.
Just
And then
haven't
that,
seen this stuff. I don't
yeah.
even care about like the outing too much. It's like in the spring and all these promising starts, I'm like, dude, you look nasty. And now it's like you're laboring. And that's been all of his MLB career starts so far, dating back to last year, have been
So
tough. But that was
Nathan,
rude of me. I'm not standing on that, but just the vibe it's given off the last.
no, I mean, listen, you got to use the evidence that we've been presented so far, and that's what it is. Not to say, I mean, he's still got you would think he's got a lot of his career left,
Yeah, you'd hope so,
but
right? I mean,
in terms of where I'm feeling giddy or optimistic, not
mhm.
really with
No,
those two in the rotation. And it is what it is, but that's a story. It wasn't his night,
no.
and wasn't giving the Yankees his best outing really. Game two, Kyle Gibson, rough one for the
Yeah.
Orioles. Gives up This is the
You'd
second
think.
time that the Yankees have had to lead off a game back to back to back home runs. And then, funny enough, we were at the first game, which was the Milwaukee game at Yankee
Mhm.
Stadium. We were at that second game of the season. And then it goes to Goldschmidt, who couldn't hit a home run. And then after that, the fifth hitter hits a home run. Um, and it was cool to see it again happen. It was cool when we saw it live, and then that just tacked onto a really bad loss for Kyle Gibson. Three,
Mhm.
3 2/3, 11 hits, 9 earned runs, nine
You don't
strikeouts,
get
and
much worse than
this
that.
was his first start with
Yeah.
Baltimore.
hmm
So that horrible way to leave an impression.
Kyle
Carl,
Gibson's name was floating around for Yankee fans for a little bit too. Some
yeesh.
moments on Twitter.
Yeah. Uh, not to say that the other guys that the Yankees have are
Yeah. They need
anything.
an arm. They need arms at some point.
Yeah. But Carlos Rodon in the story, another story in this: 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. If you want to talk a little bit about Rodon and his, we had talked after the opening day start. He had 3 lackluster starts. Now has 3 really solid starts dating back to the Tampa game, and he's just put out some really good performances, man. And it's good to see that he's bouncing back.
Yeah, man. I mean, last three starts, 6 innings against Tampa, 2 hits, no earned, 9 Ks. Very good. 7 innings against Cleveland, 4 hits, 1 run, 0 earned, 8 Ks. Very nice. 6 innings against Baltimore, 2 hits, 2 earned, 7 Ks. Very nice. Right. So like we've seen this before too. That's the thing. And I don't want to be this guy because I think it's clear to you, Rob, and clear to whoever listens to this pod. I am a believer in Carlos Rodon. I'm a fan of Carlos Rodon. I think he's a very good pitcher, and I think he can be an ace. Um, I just need to continue to see it. I can't have blow up starts. So I know this is like we know this is what Rodon is capable of. Just keep piecing them together, man. And if you have a start that you labor, where you go 5 1/3, 3 earned, 6 hits, 7 hits, limit damage, right? Like we used to date back or to pods last year, the last couple of years, and we go, yeah, Cole didn't really have it tonight, but he went 6 1/3 and he kept us in the game. Like that's what I'm looking for in Rodon in the grand scheme of things is like, I know you can come out and be dominant on any given night. But what are you going to give me when you're not dominant, right? That's more so what I'm looking for is like, keep me in the game, be a pitcher I can rely on, not one where I'm like, this isn't fantasy football where you're boom or bust, brother. I need you to be some level of consistent here. And that's what we've seen the last three starts. So I'm looking at the long haul here, Rob. Like last year was like he had that rough April, really good May, June, half of July, really bad 6 starts from July to August, then kind of decent until that moment in the playoffs. So I'm really just, we're looking at damage control here and then continue to be an ace when you can be. So I'm happy with Rodon, dude. And I know it's there. The big thing that I'm looking at too is something we haven't really got the last 2 years from him. The strikeouts are there. He's leading the AL in strikeouts. That was his dominant self before he was a Yankee. Strikeout batters, right? So
Need
I'm
it.
happy with Rodon and just kind of keep it rolling, bro.
I agree. He's looked good, and that's what the Yankees need when the other pieces back end of your rotation right now are not necessarily
Not
good.
doing it.
They're very hit or miss, very
hmm
hit or miss. Carrasco goes out and has a solid start for you. I forget what the last exact one that Carrasco prior to
Yesterday,
the
right? Yeah.
well, no, he pitched yesterday, but he gave you a good outing against Kansas City, and then Tampa he was not good, and then Toronto he was actually good, and then Baltimore yesterday not good. So when you have a sporadic rotation at the back end with Carrasco and
Rookie's
Warren.
really all over the place. 4 runs, 1 run, 4 runs,
Exactly.
0 runs,
So
four
when
runs.
you have literally two pitchers like that, you need to have when your aces pitch or when your big money guys pitch, you gotta pitch good. And I
hmm
I love that point that you made that when Cole isn't on, and he has his games where all pitchers do where he's just
Yeah, very rarely though. Like you know, once in a blue moon type of thing.
yeah. And but when he does, even in the starts that he does labor, he can still give you some distance that puts you in a
hmm
position to win. And that's what That's a good
That's
point.
an ace, man.
That's what you need from Rodon a little bit. So he's up to this point. He's put out those three good starts. Tying back to the game, other offense happened in this one. Goldschmidt continues to be good, continues to hit in this one, as well as Austin Wells homering in this. So Austin Wells in this series came alive where we were looking at him as part of the offensive struggle bus when we saw Volpe, who has now turned it around a little bit, as well as Jazz and Bellinger. So Wells coming alive this week. They got him featured on some burrito stuff I saw on social media again. So Yankees are really tying into that and
Tapping into,
leaning into
yeah.
that.
Alrighty.
So yesterday's game, they lose 5-4. As we mentioned, Carrasco on the mound, three and a third, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and very volatile there. Gives you a good start, gives you a bad start, gives you a good start. And it's funny because his bad starts are bad. And he's an older pitcher, and you understand that you're not getting this. You're not getting vintage Cookie Carrasco right
No.
now, to put it lightly. So a little
When he
bit
goes
behind.
5 innings, he's doing his job in his head, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I,
The way that this game opens was with the Judge 2-run home run, which was a shot. Puts him up 2-0, but then Carrasco in the bottom of the second gives up 4. Goldschmidt hits a homer in the top of the fifth. Tyler, haven't had a Goldschmidt homer. I want to say, let me look exactly, because a lot of people were complaining on social media and our comments I was seeing. A lot of people going, "Where's the Goldie power? Where's the Goldie
who
power?"
cares?
Listen, when he's been a consistent presence in this. Oh, I think it was opening day, actually. Yeah, his last, or no, it was actually the game we went to. His last home run was on that Saturday game where they went bonkers.
Mhm.
But Goldie, it's the encouraging thing that you have to take a perspective on is, yes, his power numbers haven't necessarily been there, but I would argue in this last week, and I think he had a double against Toronto, or maybe a couple doubles. I'd argue that he's been getting it back on the right track. And you have to look at it from a perspective of, at least he's striking the ball well, putting it in play, and getting on base and making things happen. I think he has close to like over 30 hits already on the year. He's, I think his batting average,
42 hits.
356 batting average, now has the 2 home runs after yesterday, and 878 OPS.
Mhm.
We want the other pieces. I think if Goldie was hitting like this and some of the other individuals in this lineup stepped up remotely in any fashion, really, like just hit for average above the Mendoza line for some of these guys, as well as close to a 700 OPS, we'd be not targeting Goldie's miscues as much with the
Yeah.
with the power. But like, I'm not going to complain at this point. Goldie has really, and I mean, for a 1 year deal for what they got so
Mhm.
far, knock on wood, Goldie has been good. So I'm not. This has been encouraging to see from Goldschmidt for sure.
I'm with you there, man. And at the end of the day, like when Ben Rice gives you 8 homers, Judge is giving you 10 so far, and Trent Grisham's giving you 8. Or not Jason, excuse me. Jazz has 7 already. Like, I don't need Goldschmidt to sell out for power. I'd prefer Goldie to hit 356 than hit 240 and have 3 more homers. I think that's a better asset to your lineup with how this team is constructed. So I am all good with Goldie hitting for high average and a little bit less pop. I want to see the doubles continue to rake in. I don't want you to just be a singles machine necessarily. But yeah, you can't be upset in any way.
Yeah, so they played Pablo Reyes at second base in this game because of the Jazz injury, and he had the little skirmish with Kirkstead, which was just the most pointless. I don't know. He got bent out of shape because
Mhm.
Reyes had to go catch the ball. But the Yankees, I think it's a more overarching conversation because Reyes just hasn't been good when he's played, and it's
His whole
just
career, basically.
yeah. Well, for Boston, he was okay when he played, and he plays everywhere, which is makes him a attractive piece. But the Yankees right now really do need a right-handed bat, cough cough, Giancarlo Stanton,
Mhm.
or I mean, if maybe they get a bat piece at the deadline, but I'm not even going to put my eggs in that basket.
They will, I think.
But I think that is something that the Yankees in this moment in time are lacking another right-handed bat, and we know they have the best right-handed hitter in baseball, and Judge and Goldie has been good, but
Hmm.
they are a little lefty heavy,
Yep.
and some of those lefties haven't been as good as we'd want. Although Trent Grisham just continues to rake, but
That's
they
insane.
do, to balance out the lineup just a little bit in the back end, a righty bat could be something that they really want. And the conversation has gone to the way that Jason Dominguez hasn't been as good on the right side as he is on the left side. If
He
you
should
look at his
just be a lefty. I'm gonna preach that for a long time
so
until it happens.
that's just a little conversation that is now being had amongst Yankee fans because watching the way that they do need that. But yeah, if you want to expand a little bit on like Dominguez and what you think there.
Well, I mean, Dominguez, he's just two completely different players from the left side and the right side. I'm not going to be able to pull up his splits fast enough, I imagine, but I would like to see the difference in numbers between him hitting from the left and the right side. So, like, I agree, the Yankees need a right-handed bat. Um, I think it needs to be a third baseman still, or like a third baseman platoon outfield type of thing. Because I still don't. Obviously, Stanton has to play a role at some point. In my head, there's no possibility for the next 2 months, I'd say at least still.
Mhm.
Because Ben Rice has more than proven himself on this team. I think, especially if he does this through May, you're looking at an all-star caliber DH virtually at that point. So like Stanton's bat will be incorporated in some way. I still think that right-handed bat needs to come as the third baseman, which is not going to come from G. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, I'm more concerned over anything with the Jazz injury. Like, Jazz hasn't been wonderful for the year offensively, but no matter which way you cut it, hold on, just pulling up the Yankees WAR leaders.
And you also made the mention that
Mhm.
the big Jazz has to stay healthy this year, which
That was
now
my whole thing all winter, dude, is Jazz hasn't necessarily been super effective at the plate necessarily, even though he does have 7 homers, 3 doubles, and I thought he had a triple, but I guess not. 10 extra base hits on the year. He is third in WAR on the Yankees. Whatever you wanted to, however you want to cut that. Yanks are strong up the middle with Jazz playing second, along with Volpe at short, right? So like losing Jazz is not good in my book. And I don't want to see Pablo Reyes play for the next 6 weeks. Like I don't know. Am I the only one a little alarmed by this oblique injury? Like this is not going to be a 15-day IL thing, I don't think. Anytime oblique happens, it's like months to my knowledge. And then they come back and I'm still scared because it's so easy to re-aggravate. So like they need, I don't know, two righty bats at this point. Like I need someone to play second that's not Pablo Reyes, and I need someone to play third. Um,
I know the perfect person.
to play what, second or third? DJ LeMahieu.
Both. DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
He'll be
So that's
back
what's
after the
gonna happen,
cortisone
man.
shot. He'll be
Yeah.
back eventually.
I think they said they intend him to play this weekend, or they were hoping to get him back into playing this weekend. So I don't know. I'm just hoping best news on the Jazz stuff. Um, but man, with this American League, I'm gonna maintain that the Yankees will not be urgent at all. Don't
Probably.
expect anything until the
Yeah.
deadline.
I don't disagree. I think that they may just that's why I'm like not really,
They're not
even by
reactionary, man. They don't care
even
they lost Cole. They don't give a shit.
even by the deadline, that's why I don't even think that they would do a serious bat unless it goes back to
But like, what's a serious
what
bat like in your head? Because in my head, Kyle Tucker's like a serious bat. It's not happening. But like
no, I
Arenado's a possibility. I think
yeah, but
Nico
like
Horner's a possibility. Like things like that.
yeah, I think it has to come down to what's in it for them long term
Yep,
is then they will make the move. Like
for sure.
any rentals, I don't think that I think
Yeah,
they're
I
done
think they're
with.
done on
Soto was
rentals.
the clear rental,
Yep.
and I'd
They
say
want two
less
years of
to
control at least.
yeah.
Like they want Jazz type of thing, where you get you for 1 year and then I have you for 2 more.
Devin Williams was probably more acceptable because they just
Yep.
wanted to dump Nestor
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
wanted
Nestor
they
had no place either, really.
um so yeah, I agree with you that they need to look out for a righty bat, and they need to. I think the Jazz injury
What
will.
was Jazz's comments on his injury? Did he have anything? Like nothing reassuring on his end? Like I'm fine. I was just wondering if you saw it. I didn't see
I
anything.
didn't see anything. Let's see. Jazz Chisholm provides optimistic. I
But to
feel
be
pretty.
fair,
He
like,
said, "Here it is." He goes, I'm really not as concerned as everybody else. I feel pretty good. I've torn my oblique before, so I
oh
know."
my God.
So he goes, "I know if it's torn or anything, I can cough without any pain. I it was just to be cautious, not to try to overdo it." So,
All right,
I mean
cool. Well,
that
never
that's
mind. Maybe I just freaked out a little bit for no reason, and that's good.
it's true.
I
I
love how
mean,
he's like, so now we know how Jazz tests his injuries to the abdominal. He just coughs in the locker room.
and if it hurts, then it's a problem. But if it
Yeah,
doesn't,
exactly.
then you're
Then we're
good.
good. We're good to
So
go.
we'll have to hear. I'm sure they'll probably give us either an update today or early tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But
Hmm.
going back to the remainder of the series before we talk about some other stuff, let's talk about our savages of the series. I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt. Went 4 for 14, one home run, three RBIs. We talked about his stats prior. That he's just been in a lineup where you have shining. I mean, Aaron Judge is stellar. We know that
Who'd you
MVP at this
say,
point.
Goldie?
Yeah, Paul
Okay.
Goldschmidt. Um, when you look at the rest of the lineup, that when it turns over after Goldie, it's been a little questionable up to this point. But and Goldschmidt himself, when he was signed, was a question mark because of
Mhm.
the struggles early on in the year. And you mentioned it that it's good. It's a good sign that he's getting off to such a good start. So Paul Goldschmidt has continues to hit well and be a presence in this lineup that they need, and he's a veteran presence. And it's funny when they try and get him to do the celebrations, and he just wants no part in it. So I'm going with
It's
Goldschmidt.
just an old head, man. Yeah, can't argue with that, dude. I would love to give it to one of the people I picked on last week. But simply that would be me being a softie. The award deserves to go to the best player in baseball, the guy that's never ranked at the top of any ESPN baloney list. His name is Aaron Judge. In this series, dude, he had 7 hits in 3 games, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, struck out twice. Um, it's just absurd, honestly. I mean, just like every year you kind of are like, can he really be better again? And it's like, I guess so, dude. I mean, it's May 1st, Rob. He's hitting 427. We're not 8 games in. He's hitting 427 on May 1st, getting on base at a 521 clip, 52% of the time, slugging 761 with a 1.282 OPS. Just simply dumb. 262 OPS plus, 10 homers, 32 RBIs, leads the league in that, 50 hits on the year, leading the league there, 29 runs scored, 7 doubles and a triple. Um, Best right-handed bat I think I'll see in my literal lifetime at this point. Um, I used to joke and come on here and be like, he's putting up Bond's numbers. I mean, he literally is at this point. He hasn't done it for as long as Bonds has, but I mean, it's it's ridiculous how good Aaron Judge is, and it's very annoying to me that he is not just the consensus best player in baseball. Like I think when people with their head on straight talk about it enough, they can say that, but like you'll get Paul Skeens answers. You'll get Bobby Witt. You'll get J Ram. You'll get Soto. You know, you'll get Otani. And it's just not accurate, dude. It's the best way I can put it. Like Aaron Judge is factually, statistically, the best player in baseball. And he's my MVP.
Oh, hot, 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 hot. I agree.
Yep.
Good choice. Also, honorable mention. I guess we could talk about before we close it out. Anthony Volpe. He's
Yep.
gotten back on the right track, but he had a good series.
4 hits.
I'm gonna do my Savage Slump watch.
They stink.
I think I've already given it to this guy 2 weeks ago, but
It's all right.
Will Warren, man, I just gotta want to see something different, see a little development.
Yep.
But it's only May and got to see him a little bit. And the fact is that Luis Heel is still a ways away from getting back, so they
Hmm.
need him in this rotation. So if there were any time to try and get things going and show what you can be, even maybe not fully this year, because he may, once everyone gets back healthy, who knows if he'll be part of this
Yep.
and what if there's any trades or anything. But it's a good time to then kick it in gear, and a little bit more consistency from Will Warren is what we need to see. So I'm going to go with, for my Savage Slump Watch, Will Warren, just up and down. And it's funny how him and Cookie are like the same way, just very
Hmm.
up and down from start to start. So
Which is where it's a great transition there, Rob, because mine kind of has to be Cookie as well. 3 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 4 earned, 5 Ks, no walks. All I gotta say is read the room, buddy. We need your help. Do better than that. I mean, he was picked up and brought into camp in the spring, probably without the intention of virtually being your 3/4 starter without Stroh here too. Stroh not doing too hot apparently as well. I think they said he's still got some discomfort in the knee or something like that. Um, but Cookie's gonna keep pitching, guys. So like, I need him to pitch well, right?
get
It's
on
because
board.
the same with Devin, where it's like, yeah, I understand you're pissing me off a lot, and I kind of don't like you right now, but I need you to pitch well. So I will root for you, and that is who I'm going for. For that will be Cookie.
Valid. Very valid. Do you want to
Yep.
talk a little bit about Anthony Volpe in this
Yeah, man.
series? I'm still questionable of Volpe, and a lot of the fan base is, I think he's very polarizing of different conversations of,
Yes.
is he on board with him, not on board. But this series he was very solid. Had 4 hits, 2 extra base hits on the second game, a couple RBIs scored in there. A little walking action, which is nice to see
Yeah,
from
I
Volpe. A
know.
little patience we'd like
Yep.
to see.
Only struck out twice.
Even back in the Toronto series, put together. Let me see how many. Also, five hits in the Toronto
Hmm.
series. So for really a week worth of games, Volpe has been putting it together in a better fashion. Now brought his OPS up to 784. So good things to see from Volpe
Hmm.
on the right track. Yesterday had a bit of a booted ball up the middle, which wasn't ideal, but we know the defense is something that you can really count on with Volpe. So I'm not going to lose my you know what over that. But better days from Volpe, Tyler.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I'm happy with Volpe. Thus far, right? It's this can be a weird comparison I'm gonna throw out there, but I think it's I think it's kind of accurate. And you might raise an eyebrow over this too, but when Volpe's bad, man, it's pretty ugly. I think we can all agree on that. He can't touch a 93-mile-an-hour heater down the dick. It doesn't look great when Volpe is not hitting the ball well. When he is hitting the ball well, you go, that's the guy that we took high in a draft, and you're going to slash doubles and be all over the field and get a bunch of hits. And you're like, I can see the vision. Um, I'm going to compare him to Stanton in some sense, dude, where it's like when he's on, Volpe's not dominating a baseball game, but he owns his at bats a little bit. He's controlling the strike zone. He has a two-strike approach that he's not swinging out of his shoes. And when he's off, I have no idea what he's doing. I have zero clue. Like, just do what you just did yesterday, brother. Just at least like don't change your approach here. So I'm happy with Volpe where he's at right now. This is what we've seen out of him the last couple of years. There's highs and lows. I just want to see a plateau somewhere where the lows don't dip into the crests of earth virtually. But breaking news to everyone too, and we can talk about the shortstops we missed out on or didn't pay for, and that we should have paid for, or this, that, and the third. Um, Volpe is going to be the shortstop, dude, for probably a long time. Unless he consistently puts up 80 OPS plus years, 675 OPS years, or it gets worse. If he's anywhere around league average, they're gonna keep him at short, dude, for quite some time, especially while he's just under team control. In my opinion, the defense is really good. I mean, he's got a ton of range. Yes, he has some hiccups here and there. What player doesn't? But I think they value that, bro. And I don't think he's going anywhere. So like I'm rooting for the offense to continue to get there. I just want to see that OBP continue to go up. I don't give a shit about the slug with him really. Just hit the ball, have a decent average and get on base and keep playing good D. So I'm happy with Volpe, but again, Same outlook as Rodon almost. Expectations are lower, but I don't want the dips to be so dramatic. That's really where I'm at.
Yeah. Your Stanton comparison, I don't know. I'm just not even gonna say anything, but it's fine. The I I agree that I more likely than not he's going to be around here for a long time. He's going to be under team control. That Gold Glove they're going to milk till the day they die, and they're going to keep him at that position. And I do think he's a good defender. I do think he's a good defender. More and that little hiccup the other day, like against Baltimore, I don't think it's you know, I don't think that is what represents him defensively.
Yeah,
We know
no.
that he's a good defender. I am on the boat that he how do I want to phrase this? I think there he is good. Like you said, you don't want the dips to be too dramatic. I think that's the player he is. I think that we are going to see him.
Already?
Yeah, I do. I his batting approach and his approach at the plate and his swing. I just can't help but feel like this is going to be what he is. And I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong this year. Maybe he does hit above 800. But we've seen the
Don't even
song and
need
dance.
that.
We've seen
760.
we've seen the song and dance now for over 300 games for his career.
Mhm.
And like I think I think his peak is like could he sniff 750 OPS? Maybe. I like for a consistent season, maybe. But I think like I get the argument when people say you don't need an all-star at every position and you don't need a guy that you're paying 300 mil at every position. And I think that is totally a fair argument. But like the way that this Yankees team is now gone is they don't have enough good players around dispersed in the lineup for him not to be under pressure, for them not to. And like, here's the thing, and it's not anything that is of his fault. And you talked about not going back to other people that they missed out on or didn't sign, like Seager or this guy, that guy at
Seager's hurt.
shortstop.
Turner's hasn't been great.
And
I mean,
it's not fair
Correa,
to
no.
it's not fair to him. But the Yankees put all their eggs in this basket and in his basket. And like that's the nature of it. He's gonna be criticized. He plays shortstop for the Yankees.
Hmm.
And I do think like I get that I think is it still that he's a second valued WAR on the team right now
Yeah,
behind Judge, I'm pretty sure.
he's second on the team
And
with
because his
in
defense
WAR.
is that good at this point. Um but I would ask you this, Tyler. Would you take an Anthony Volpe that hit closer to an 800 OPS on a consistent basis if the defense took a little bit of a step back?
Sure, yeah, sure. DJ.
I think it a sooner rather than like at a point if he doesn't I don't want to say excel if he isn't hitting on like I came into the season I would really like him to, if he was a 750 OPS guy I would be more on board and if he can consistently do it maybe he does it this year
Yeah.
but I just think that if he continues which I lean more towards that if he's still can't even really get over the 700 OPS average, then there like at a soon like the noise is going to get louder of like can't we get someone in here that because there was so much stock put in him.
Hmm.
So and it's not exactly fair to him, but it's just I don't know, man. I'm not as like I feel like the expectations and the goalposts of the argument of like, oh well, but his defense is so good, but like yeah, but he needs to hit better. He does need to hit better because we
Yeah,
don't
but
want him to be.
I don't think he was ever viewed as like a Corey Seager or a
I don't
like a
know,
big
Tyler.
slugger like
Tyler,
that.
I
Like
don't know. We were watching these numbers in Somerset, and he was striking the ball pretty good.
but
And
he was never supposed to be a 27
was he
home
supposed to be
guy.
a guy that's hitting below 700
No,
OPS?
no, Rob, but I'm just you know me, dude. Like I am not going to look at a person last year who was 23 years of age and go, "Yep, this is the ceiling." I just won't do it, you know? Like he has 4 more years. He's 24. I'm turning 27. He's younger than me. Like there is room there
No,
where if
I
you know,
think.
where if he puts it up, I think there's potential there.
Listen, we'll see how the rest of this year plays out.
But
But there's
yes,
a
I would take
there.
no defense for
I
better
feel
offense.
as though there is a established pattern here now with him. I just do. We've already seen it this year to start. Up, down, up, down with this hitting. So it's just the consistency has to be shown. Like next couple months, maybe I'm wrong, but I do think there is some goalpost arguments being extended, pushed back for him, and the defensive value is important. I don't want to make it seem like I'm completely dismissing it,
I don't
but I,
think you
I
are.
but I think that it's used to be like, well, well, like
Because
he wasn't
people
ever
are
expected
well,
to be
people
that.
are acting as if he's not like an MLB caliber player, which is not
No,
true.
that's not fair.
Like
That's not fair.
that's why I emphasize the defense because you scroll on Twitter and like Volpe strikes out 3 times and they go, put this idiot in single A. It's like, okay, well, he'd probably start
Do
on
you
a lot of
think,
teams.
but I will ask this then. Do you think if he hits a point in the season where we see more of the struggle, like do you think he could benefit from like a little time?
No.
No.
I really don't know. If they didn't run him out for 320 games the last 2 years, sure, but I think that's something that had to
Well,
have
you
been
think we're
done the last two
beyond,
years.
yeah, we're beyond that point. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd agree. I'd agree.
only because then like I don't know how much he hurt and the kid's confident. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be kind of a blow, but
I don't know, man. Again, and the thing with me too is like it's an approach thing. Every time I watch him is like when he's struggling, and I'm like, dude, you're just not doing what you're good at doing when you're on these little hot spurts.
mhm.
Um, which is just fighting off tough pitches and then taking a ball to right field, you know? I don't know though, man. Like in my head, if Volpe is a stellar defender and he has a 750 OPS, like I'm happy with that.
I
Like
would be too,
pretty
but
happy,
I
you
just
know?
question that he's able to do that. I
He's got a
really do.
784 OPS right now.
Because after a week, and then there's going to
There's
be
only
more
been there's only
weeks.
been 5 weeks this
I
year.
know, but we're also listen, man. We've seen the song and dance.
I know, but that's,
He started last year with like an 800 OPS, and
it
then
was like a
that dipped.
thousand, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, listen, we'll see.
Just get me to June with a reputable OPS and just build on it, man.
Over
Once he
700.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I'm totally in lockstep with you there. Where if he has another 680, 660, 650, anything that starts with a six, I'm considering the season an offensive failure for him. Like that's the best I can give you there. It
Fair.
has to start with a seven. OPS plus has to start with a one. You have to be league average or better.
OPS has to start with is OPS plus starts with a
Yeah,
one.
well,
Okay.
OPS plus has to start with a one.
I was about to
OPS
say
has to
if
start
he's
with a
got
seven.
if he's one dotting, that's a
Yeah, if
good
he's
thing.
one dot, I mean, extend the man.
um,
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's a continued conversation, and we'll see how he plays this weekend and throughout the rest of May and June, and we'll see where he's at the All-Star break. But no, I agree. I think people that are really being hard on him for not being an MLB player
yep.
isn't accurate because of the defensive value. But in terms of, I just think that
And the Anderson Simmons comparisons, they're fine. They're fair, honestly.
they are fair. I think he's the Italian Andrelton Simmons.
But again, and here's my
He would
thing.
be fine,
If
and
he turns into just Andrelton Simmons, it's not the worst thing ever. And Andrelton Simmons' ceiling was a 754 OPS in 2018 with the Angels, 108 OPS plus. Career OPS plus 87. Career OPS 678. Anthony Volpe OPS the last couple years for his career 672,
I don't
87
disagree. I
OPS
don't
plus.
disagree that that would be a good quality MLB player. But
But he can be better than that, is what I'm saying.
I think though, if that is what he turns out to be, I think that that is
A letdown.
below a letdown.
Below what we were sold.
Yes. And
Okay. I'm in
and
lockstep with you there.
that's my frustration. But
Yes.
uh
But Andrelton Simmons, like I'm looking at his just career numbers for whatever reason right now. And every single year of his career I'd view except for 2018 and 2017, 2018, which is juiced ball eras. I'd view every other year as a failure offensively. So I'm not like I'm just saying I think here's the thing for you, Rob. I think Anthony Volpe's floor is Andrelton Simmons' ceiling. Or is Andrelton Simmons' career. I think that's his floor.
Hmm, I'm
Like
just
just
taking a peek at
in terms of production, like
maybe.
him having an 8 WAR actually in 2017 is insane. He must have played some stupid defense that year.
Yeah, he's a good defender.
Eighth in MVP voting, and he had a 750 OPS.
I think that
Pretty
Anthony
crazy.
Volpe is a Italian shorter Andrelton Simmons. But that's for everyone else
Just
to
hit doubles, man. Doubles, doubles, doubles. Beat Tommy Edman. He's good. Because he plays for the Dodgers.
yeah. All right. Well, that is it for episode 203.
Ben Rice is great.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to our little Anthony Volpe discourse and
Mhm.
listening to the entire pod. We would appreciate it if you would leave us subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify, leave us a rate and review, and leave a comment as well as go over to our social media channels and follow us Instagram, TikTok, X. To keep up with all of our updated Yankee news and all of our content there. So, really appreciate everyone for joining us for episode 203. We'll catch you at 204. Peace.